For he is our God.
And we are the people of his pasture. And the sheep of his hand.
Today,
if ye will hear his voice, harden not your heart. As in the provocation, and as in the day of temptation in the wilderness. When your fathers tempted me.
Your folk made me upset.
Proved me. And saw my work.
They saw my work. But they still tempted me. Am I in the Bible this morning? Clap your hand and tell me I'm in the Bible.
40 years long.
40 years long. Didn't have to be that long. But because they failed to trust me. That's why some of you are in the mindset that you're in. That's why it's difficult to get people to tie right. You trust God for what you want to trust him for and in what you want to trust him for. But you selfishly don't trust him with everything. And part trust is no trust. Read.
40 years long was I grieved with this generation.
I was mad with him for 40 years. I was grieved with him for 40 years. But I still fed them. Provided for them. I did right by them and they did so wrong by me. Listen to what God said. That just really reminds me of conversations I've had with pastors and preachers over the years with situations that they've encountered with people who start out saying they love you but end up hating you when you don't do things their way. Read.
And said, it is a people that do err in their heart. And
That's what was wrong with them? It's a hard issue. And people can say what they want with their mouth, but their behavior proves what's in their heart. I had a deacon one time told me, because church was getting ready to undergo a remodeling project, I engineered it, and he was a deacon and he wanted to get his hand in the money. I was a pastor in Greenville, and I just didn't get a good feel. Anybody know me? If I don't feel right about something, I just can't go with it. What do I tell you that? These preaching deacons tell you that we didn't make a decision. I'll stop it, so we can't do that. We can't do it. And I did that, and boy, he got upset, went to the bank, and stopped the loan.
Wow.
You don't know my journey. I was young, in my 20s. And he had a bad season in his career. And so what his plan was to use the church's money to compensate for his lack. And I saw it. And when I stopped it, he got grieved. He became grieved because he was greedy. Got so upset with me one day. He called me on the phone, and I answered. I used to like to fight in those kind of fights then. I said, hello? See, what people to this day, don't let me know I'm getting on your skin. If I know I'm getting under your skin, you don't want to hit me because I'm going all the way with you. That's me. Ain't that right? And so, anyway, I knew I was getting under the skin. I was just so nice and polite because I knew at the end of the day he wasn't going to hit me. And he told me, he said, you know what? Because I didn't bend. And I say to young people in this church, when you know you're right, Stand on it. Graham was right. Stop bending and stop bending and swaying with your pride. Stand on what's right. I've got friends and everybody else. They go to church. They got tight shirts on. They got joggers suits, body suits, everything showing, and they preachers and they, just all that kind of stuff. That work for them. It don't work for me. I'm standing on what I believe in. And every Sunday morning I take pride in putting on some of my best rags, one of my best neckties, my nicest cufflinks, my nicest shoes, my nicest smell good, standing here proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ. Because when I look back, I feel there's a good God. He said to me, is what he said to me, and because on TV I can't say it, but he said, you gonna mess up and make me blank you up. No. He said that. Deeper. And still living, but still ain't got nothing. And so, anyway, and since then, he almost lost his house, and he did lose his wife. And God got his own way of doing things. You just got to stop trying to box with it and let God do boxing for you. And so I just stood back and, hey, do what you got to do. And when he said that to me, I said, don't you mess up and get help. Don't you mess up. Because that's what he said to me. And I told him, don't you mess up and get that back. Sunday morning, I rolled around. I went to church that Sunday. I went to church. It's a true story. I went to church that Sunday. My suit on. And who I met down the hallway. Yeah. He came to me crying. Lord have mercy. I stopped just sorry. Don't y'all get mad because I said a customer, man. He cussed me. Years ago. I mean, you don't act like you don't cuss. You just don't cuss as often as you used to. They say I forgot how to do it either. At 41 years old, if the wrong nigga stepped to me the wrong way, even now, he'll get the same treatment that Negro got them years ago. And so, matter of fact, at this point, I got pistols. I ain't doing all that now. But you came to me crying. I'm sorry. And I never trusted him, and I dismissed him. As a deacon, I couldn't use him. Because see, you can say I'm sorry out your lips, but the behavior that you exemplified to me was different. Because under no circumstance should you get that mad and upset over something that never belonged to you to openly come out your mouth and disrespect your leader in such a fashion, telling me you will help me. That's a hard problem. Can I say this? You can't be converted until you've been convicted first. You're preaching better than I ever have. Did you finish reading? You just finished reading.
And they have not known my ways.
They have not known my ways.
Unto whom I swear in my wrath.
Unto whom I swear in my wrath.
That they should not enter into my rest.
All right.
That's the word.
Read that again.
Unto whom I swear in my wrath that they should not enter into my rest.
Now turn over to Hebrews 13. You enjoying the message this morning? They can't enter to my rest because their hearts ain't right. Can I tell y'all something? Y'all better stop walking around here with all this hatred malice and jealousy and holding grudges in your heart. Let me tell you something. And if you're going to be jealous about something, be jealous about the football player who can run a ball and get $30 million for running the ball. Don't be jealous of your fellow man, because we all got the same thing. In one day, everything we have, we can lose and be sleeping on 55 under a doggone bridge. Don't be upset over no simple stuff. Mad about somebody got a shoe, you can get a shoe. Mad about a car, you can get a car. Mad about the simplest, smallest stuff, because somebody else may walk with their head high. You ought to walk with your head higher than the next person walks with their head held up. Hard work. You gotta be careful what you do. Be careful what you do. Even the leader, you gotta be careful. It's the scripture. Hebrews 13 and 17. It's the word of God.
That's it.
If you're a believer, if you're a Christian, if you profess salvation, you can't believe something about it.
All right.
Every word. Sandra, we got to believe every bit of it. Because according to the Apostle Paul, he said the word of God is God-breathed. Yeah. Meaning every word that they wrote, God in his own way co-signed. Yeah. Every word that was ever written from the word of God was written by God. God breathed upon the word.
Obey them that
This was Israel's problem.
Obey them that have.
They were grumbling against Moses, but in actuality, they were grumbling against God. And God said, I'm grieved. Because as good as I've been to them, they don't trust me. And can I say something to you?
Yes.
He's been, my wife in doctoral school, I gotta watch what I be saying because stuff sounds good for preaching, but it may be embarrassing to her.
Preach.
But as good as God is to you,
Yeah.
and as good as God has been to you,
Hallelujah.
by now, you ought to be trusted. Obey them that who?
That have the rule over you
Mm-hmm.
and submit yourselves.
And submit yourselves,
For they watch for your
for they
soul.
watch for your soul.
As they that must give account.
As they that must give account,
That they may do.
that they may do
It with joy.
it with joy
And not with grief.
and not with grief.
For it is unprofitable.
It is not good
For you.
for you.
All right.
As the Israelites moved on now in Rephidim, they had no water. But instead of trusting God and seeking God, they complained. Verse 3, they demanded water. They got mad. And Moses said, Lord, the folk acting like they want to stone me. Then in verse 7, so when people can have their way, they'll do anything. Verse 7, out of all God had done, they asked him, is God among us? God was with them when Pharaoh died. He was with them when the army of the Egyptians drowned in the Red Sea with him. God was leading them by day and by night, feeding them day and night. He was feeding them 6 days a week, although it was 7 days a week. And what they were to do on the 6th day was to get enough food on the 6th day for 2 days. Because the 7th day was a day they were supposed to rest.
That's right. That's right.
I'm preacher is better than you. He fed them. Yeah. But they became weary. Can I tell you what they became weary of amongst them? Give me 5 minutes, I'm through. They became weary of God's provisions, God's protection, and God's presence. Go to Exodus 17, the 8th clause of verse 2. They became weary of God's provision, God's protection, and God's presence. Say, preach, Reverend.
Preach, Reverend.
They demanded God's provision. The 8th clause of verse 2, Exodus 17. Wherefore,
the people did chide with Moses and said, give us water that we may drink.
They didn't just say, Reverend Moses, may I have, or may we have some water for ourselves, our children, and our cattle? No! Give us some water. So you got to watch how you speak against God's leaders and against how you're speaking to God. They demanded water to drink. They demanded God's presence. Here's what they erred. In demanding like they demanded, they wouldn't patiently wait. And God put us in positions where we have to learn how to patiently wait. So they demanded God's provisions. Verse 3.
And the people thirsted there for water.
They thirsted there for water.
And the people murmured against Moses.
So,
and said, wherefore is this that thou hast brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst?
So you can tell us you brought us from where we were in bondage to where we are, and you got no water? We got a problem with you. You got us messed up. You done brought us out here to die in the wilderness. We were better off in bondage. Listen at that mindset. See, he got them out of bondage.
Yes, he did.
But bondage went out of them. See, you can get a girl who ain't been nowhere and take her to a 5-star restaurant, and she'll behave like she at the family picnic in grandmama's backyard if she ain't never been nowhere. My friend was dating this girl, true story. He was dating this girl, and he said to her, he said, baby, I'll be back. True story. He said, I got to go and get my vehicle. She said, vehicle? He said, yeah, baby, I got to go. True story. I got to go get my vehicle. He said, vehicle? He said, yeah, I'm going to get my automobile. Vehicle, automobile? He said, I got to go to the shop. I put my automobile in the shop. I'm going to pick it up. He thinking he's saying some big stuff. He said, he said, I'm going to get my car. She said, oh. I was in Cleveland, Walmart, and I've been preaching shit, 20 years. I don't know if this was before preaching or after preaching, but when God called me to preach, he didn't blind me.
Right.
You get that tomorrow. That's why I married her, because he didn't blind me. I'm going to say that part. But anyway, I saw this girl in Walmart, you know, and I wasn't living here, but the girl was,
Okay.
you know, this is for the man in the house, she was stacked. And nothing like a stack of anything. Sometimes it's a stack of money, a stack of Coca-Cola, stack. And bubble gum by the stack. But she was stacked. Her bubble gum was stacked. We got that in the spirit realm. And she was stacked, boy. I walked up to her and said, what's up? What's your name? You who talk of me? That's what I mean. Good job, Honey, she dumb as, I don't know what I mean, y'all, she looks so, this is a true story. The girl, wham, boom, I said, good God, man, I need to jackpot. That's what you talking about me one night. I'm not even trying. The song said, you're the one for me, but she wasn't. Good God, man. If I could have kept her mouth closed and her not say nothing, what a happy day. But the fact she opened. So, verse 2, they demanded God's provision. They questioned God's protection because they were out of bondage. But bondage went out of them. 3 minutes, I'm through. Bondage went out of them, right? And here's the next thing. Verse 7. Do verse 7 for me. Read.
And he called the name of that place Massa and Meribah. Because the shining of the
Massa and Meribah mean rebuking. Because where they were, Cheryl, all they were doing was fighting.
Because of the shining of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? Or not? Then,
Read.
Then came Amalek and fought with Israel.
Stop at verse 7. Verse 2, they demanded God's provision.
Yes.
Verse 3, they questioned God's protection. They were out of slavery. They were out of bondage, but the bondage went out of them. Then verse 7, this is a real sad one. They doubted God's presence. They doubted if God was with them as he had promised. And I'll leave you with this. God always remained faithful. I'm done. In spite of their selfish expression, none of their accusations were true. But the problem was not with God. The problem was with Israel. They refused to remember who God is and what God had done. One remedy to our own discontent and unbelief is to remember what God has done. But can I tell you what happened? Regardless of their failure to trust God, this is getting ready to blow your mind. Are you ready? I need your attention. You see how they behave, how they act. You ready? I know you're ready when I say it. Here's what I'm going to say. Regardless of the way they act, they behave, and fail to trust God, their leader never failed to intercede on their behalf. Their leader never failed to intercede on their behalf. Verse 4, 5, and 6. After Moses prayed, after Moses prayed, never said they prayed. After Moses prayed, after the leader prayed, after the one God sent to them prayed, after Moses prayed, God provided water from a rock. This miracle demonstrated that God was yet with them. God was yet to be trusted. After Moses struck the rock, as God said, crystal clear water. God told Moses, you got to stand. Go strike it.